Hello ladies and gentlemen, in today's video I'll show you how you can create this animated slide design in PowerPoint, and at the same time you will learn how you can create this clickable menu that will help you to navigate your slides. And if you have a tablet, you can use your finger to click the menu and navigate the slides. That's super awesome, let's go! Alright my friends, so let's jump into PowerPoint and let's start creating these beautiful slides. And before we get started, let me share with you a couple of settings that I'll be using throughout this tutorial. And first of all, my PowerPoint version is Microsoft 365, and it's pretty important having the latest PowerPoint versions such as 2019, 2021 or 365, because these PowerPoint versions have something that is called Morph transition, and we'll be using Morph transition quite a lot in today's tutorial, and let me demonstrate to you how Morph transition works in action. So just take a look at this illustration in the center of the slide and watch what happens when we're moving through the slides. And as you can see, these illustrations in the center are just basically morphing or changing from one illustration to another, and all of this is happening thanks to the Morph transition. And as well as you can see, we have this white active segment which basically is following our mouse clicks. So that's super awesome, and this is as well happening thanks to the Morph transition. So Morph transition is super awesome and we'll be using it in today's tutorial. Alright, and next let's talk a little bit about the slide size that I'll be using in this tutorial, and today I'll be using just the default slide size. So once you open up PowerPoint, you are getting this 720p resolution slide size, which is basically 33.87 centimeters for the slide width and 19.05 centimeters for the slide height. Aspect ratio 16:9. But if you'd like to have higher resolution, for example Quad HD, you could bump up your slide your slide width and your slide height to these values, and you will get a Quad HD resolution. But for this tutorial, I think 720p will do just fine. And next we have all of the information that we need to create these beautiful gradient backgrounds for our slides. So we'll be creating 6 gradient backgrounds for our 6 slides. And here we have all of the hex codes and all of the position information that we need to create these beautiful gradients. So this is going to be really useful, and we'll be using this information very soon. And next as well, we have some information about the fonts. So basically we'll be using the Montserrat font family, and we'll be creating these kind of rounded text boxes with some inside shadow, with this soft white inside shadow. So I'll show you how we can create this kind of effect. And next we'll have to use some beautiful icons and illustrations, and all of these are provided by PowerPoint. And if you have the latest PowerPoint versions such as 365, you have all of these icons and illustrations provided by PowerPoint directly. So that's super awesome. And if you don't have illustrations or icons in your PowerPoint version, you can as well visit websites such as flaticon.com or freepik.com. Alright my friends, so this was all of the information about the settings that I wanted to share with you. And currently this this presentation is structured in the following way. So first of all, we have these 6 final slides that I have already created, and from time to time we'll be jumping to these slides to check some of the settings if I forget something. And next we have our little brand book. So here we have all of the information such as hex codes if we need to check, the hex codes of the colors. And here we have a new section called tutorial, and here we have our first blank slide, and here we will finally start creating everything from scratch. Alright, so the first step is to add a beautiful gradient background to this slide, and let me show you how it will look like. So we'll have to create something that looks like this, and if we jump to Format Background Options, as you can see, this slide is using a gradient fill which has 2 color stops. So one color is green, it's at position 0%, and the second color stop is dark purple, and it's at 80% position. So let me show you how we can create this gradient background in our slide. So first of all, instead of the solid fill, let's choose a gradient fill. And as you can see, PowerPoint has automatically applied my last gradient fill. So let me show you how we can do that from scratch. Let's say that you have something like this, okay? And first of all, as you can see, you have 4 color stops, and we just need 2, so we can just select these guys in the middle, drag them downwards to delete them. All right, so that we have only 2 color stops. And now let's go to our little brand book and let's find the hex value of this first color. Here it is. We can just hold down the shift key and let's just make sure that we select this hex code and hit Ctrl+C to copy. Let's get back to our slide. Let's make sure that this first color stop is selected. Let's go to this little color drop-down menu. Now let's go to more colors. And now let's delete the old hex code and let's insert a new one and click OK. And this way we have inserted the first color stop. Okay. Now let me copy the second hex code. Here it is. Let's select it. Let's hit Ctrl+C to copy. And now let's get back and let's select the second color gradient. Let's go to more colors and let's insert the new hex code and click OK. And voila, this way we have created this beautiful background gradient. And the type of this gradient is linear. Of course, you can experiment with different types such as radial. But for now, let's go to linear and let's choose this direction from top to bottom. And by the way, for the second color stop, let me just change the position to 80% so that this dark purple color takes up more space on the slide. Okay, and now these 2 backgrounds should be pretty much identical. All right, so let's do the second slide together as well. And after that, I'll speed up a little bit to make the whole process faster. So the second gradient looks like this, and this time it is a radial gradient and it has, as you can see, 3 color stops. So let's go to our slide. Once again, let's choose gradient fill. And once again, PowerPoint does it automatically for us. That's super awesome, but let's do it from scratch. And this time, let's just leave 3 color stops. Let's use radial. Okay, and for the direction, I think we should use this one. Okay. When the gradient is coming from this top left corner of the slide, all right? And now for the first color stop, once again, let me just go to our little brand book and let's just copy this hex code. Let's select it, hit Ctrl+C to copy, position 20%. So let's grab the first color stop, all right? Let's go to more colors. Let's paste in the hex code, hit enter and position 20%. Just like that. Now let's do the same for the next color. Let's copy it, position 40% this time. Let's select the second color stop. More colors. Let's paste in the new hex code. Okay, click OK, position 40%. All right, and let's do the last hex code. Here it is. Let's grab the last gradient stop. Let's go to more colors. And let's just paste in the new hex code and click OK. Let me just check what was the position of this last color stop. Position 90%. So let's do here the same. Let's do 90%. And skadoosh, ladies and gentlemen, we have created the second beautiful gradient background for our slide. Now let me just insert 1, 2, 3, 4 more empty slides. And now let me just speed up a little bit, and now we can just select slide number 3, use this little brush icon, let's just select it. And now let's click on this slide 13, and this gradient background will be applied automatically or automagically, okay? So let's keep on doing that. Let's select this background and paste it right here. Now let's select this guy and let's paste it right here. And let's do the last slide. And let's paste it right here. So all of the information about the exact hex codes for the colors and all of the information about the positioning is available on slide number 8. All right, and now we have our beautiful 6 slides with our beautiful gradient backgrounds. So let's start adding some content to this first slide, and for the first slide we'll have to insert a couple of text boxes and the slide bulb illustration in the center of the slide. And after that, we will deal with this beautiful menu. Okay, so as you can see, we have to start with some text boxes. and we can find all of the information about the text that we need in our little brand book. And as you can see, we'll be using the Montserrat semi-bold font, and the font size is 32, and we will have to create this kind of rounded rectangle with this little soft white shadow inside. So let me show you how we can do that. So first of all, let's go to Insert, Shapes, and let's choose a rounded rectangle. Here it is. Let's draw a rounded rectangle. Let's use this little yellow handle to make this rounded rectangle fully rounded. That's awesome. Let's add a solid line. Let's make it white. And for the width, let's use 0.75 points, just like that. For now, let's just choose no fill. Okay. Let's go to Home, and for the font, let's use Montserrat semi-bold. Here it is for the font size 32. Let's make sure the font is center aligned, just like that, and it's in the middle, okay? And now we can type in anything that we wish, just double click or just right click and choose Edit Text. Let's just hit Caps Lock and let's choose, for example, your, I forgot what was the first title. Let's go, Your Ideas, okay? Your Ideas. And of course, let's make this text box smaller, just like that. And we can as well reduce the width, just like that. And let's position it somewhere right here. And next, let me show you how we can create this beautiful inside shadow. So currently, if we would select this text box, we would go to Shadow Options, and if we would choose this inside shadow, as you can see, nothing happens. Because in order for the shadow to work, there must be a fill, and currently we have set no fill, okay? So let's just try using the slide background fill, and as you can see with the slide background, we can see the slide background, which is really awesome, because if you move your text box to a different direction, different position, this text box always adapts to the slide background. It takes the slide background color, so that's super awesome. And at the same time, as you can see, we can see the inside shadow. So that's super awesome. So now let's just adjust the shadow color. Let's use white color. And for the blur, let's try 15 points. Okay, let's hit enter. And this is our beautiful slide title. Okay, let's center align it just like that. Let me just cut this text box and let's actually align it to my previously created slide title so that we have it in the same position, just like that. Okay, let's align it to the center. Let me cut it and let's paste it back to our slide. Okay, so now we have our beautiful, awesome slide title. Okay, and next, to save some time, let me just copy these guys from the left side to save some time. Let's hit Ctrl+C to copy. Let's paste them right here. And now here we have just a circle and a rounded rectangle, and this is just a separate little text box. So for this guy we have a Montserrat Light, 9 points for the font size, and for these two guys we have Montserrat Semi-Bold, and font size is 20, and for the shadow options we have the same inside white shadow with blur of 15 points. Okay, that's super awesome. So we will duplicate these guys a couple of times so that we have 4 groups of these elements. But now we have to insert a beautiful light bulb illustration. And I have already prepared all of these illustrations that we'll be using, but let me show you how the process works. If you have the latest PowerPoint versions, so you can go to Insert, go to Icons, and now let's go to Illustrations, and now let's just search for a light bulb. Okay. Let me turn off the caps lock. So here's our light bulb. Let's click Insert. And here's our light bulb. So you can increase the size if you wish. Alright, and currently we cannot do anything to this illustration. We cannot edit it, but in order to break it apart, we can just right click and choose Ungroup. And now basically PowerPoint says if we want to convert this illustration to an editable object, so let's just hit yes. And now we have basically separated this light bulb into different layers. So as you can see now, we can select these light rays. We can delete them actually, we won't be using them. And now we can select the different parts of this illustration. I think we can as well ungroup this light bulb once again, so that we can access these separate elements. That's good. So for this bottom part, let's fill it with white color, alright. And for this top part, let's choose a solid line, for example, 3 points or 2 points. Okay, let's make it white. And for this top part, let's use the slide background fill, okay? And now let's add this inside shadow for this light bulb as well. So let's go to shadow options. Let's choose this inner shadow preset. So let's set the color to white. And for the blur, you can experiment actually with any value that we wish. Let's try, for example, 55, and I think it looks pretty awesome. All right, so now we can select this whole illustration. Let's hit Ctrl G to group everything, and we can adjust the size to our liking. So once again, let me check what was the size of this illustration, so we can make it, pretty similar. Yeah, it looks like something like this. Let's come back to our slide and let's paste it right here. Okay, so now let's connect this little idea rounded rectangle with this light bulb. So for that we can go to Insert, Shapes, and now let's choose the line tool. And now we can just click on this point and join it with this point on the light bulb. And of course, let's change the line color to white so that we can see it. And as well for the line width, we can use 1 point so it is a little bit more visible. And now let me just select all of these elements, hit Ctrl G to group them in one group. All right. Now we can just hold down the Ctrl Shift key to drag a copy of these elements downwards, just like this. Let me just update the text box number 2, and let's connect the line right here. Okay, now let's select both of these groups, and let's hold down Ctrl Shift key once again, and let's drag them to the right side. Okay, and the smart guys should help us align all of these text boxes so that hopefully we have the same distance from the light bulb. Okay. Now all that's left to do is of course to adjust the positioning of these lines. So let's connect them like this. And for this line, let's connect it right here and right here. Super duper awesome. Right, my friends, and in the same way we can populate some content for the rest of the slides. So to speed up the process, let me just select everything except the light bulb. Let me just copy these guys and let's paste all of these elements to the rest of the slides. And of course, we'll have to update the text boxes and insert new illustrations. Okay, so once again, let me show you how we can do that, how we can stylize this planet. And after that, I'll just speed up a little bit. So let me grab this planet from our little brand book. Let's paste it into slide number 12. Super duper awesome. Once again, let's just ungroup it. Let's click OK. All right, so all we need is this little planet. We can delete these little dots. All right. Let's make sure we can ungroup one more time. You can hit Ctrl Shift G to ungroup. That's beautiful. And now let's make sure that we apply a solid line. Solid white line of 1 point, and let's add a slight background fill to all of these elements. They're looking like this. And actually for the slide, for the line width, let's use 2 points. So that's, these lines are a little bit thicker. And now let's add an inside white shadow as we did for the previous illustration. Color white, and for the blur, let's try for example 35. Okay, and let's hit enter. And now let's make sure that we select all of the elements that make up this planet, and let's hit Ctrl G to group, just like that. And now we can hold down the Ctrl and Shift keys to resize this planet according to our taste. So I think it looks pretty similar to this one. Of course, this one is flipped to a different side. So if you want to flip your planet, you can just select it, go to Shape Format, and choose Flip Horizontal. Yeah, flip horizontal, but let's leave it the way it was. I think it's looking beautiful the way it is. And of course, let me just quickly update the text boxes. Okay, my friends, and to speed up some time, let me just grab these illustrations from my previous slides so that we don't have to stylize each of these illustrations. So let me just make sure I select it and hit Ctrl C to copy. All right, and let's paste it right here. And of course, we'll just have to update the text boxes and join all of the lines. So let me do that quickly right now. Alright, so finally everything is finished. And now we can start working on this beautiful circular menu on the left side of the slide. Okay, so first of all, as you can see, this menu is made out of 6 parts. So what should be the easiest way to divide a circle into 6 parts? And for that, I would recommend using a chart. Okay, so let me show how it works. First, let's just insert a blank new slide. This way it will be easier to work with. So let's just go to Insert. Let's look for charts. Here they are. Let's choose a pie chart, and to be more precise, let's use a donut chart, and let's click OK. Alright, so here we have a chart, and we have this little Excel window where we can adjust the values of this chart. So let's just reduce the size of this little Excel window, and currently, as you can see, this chart has 4 parts or 4 segments. So let's just call them 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we need to have 6 parts because we want to divide a circle into 6 parts. We want to have something that, looks like this. As you can see, this menu has 6 parts, so let me show you how we can do that right here. So let's just type in 5 and 6 so that we have 6 parts. And another important step is that all of these parts have to have equal values. So let's just call this column values, okay? And let's say that the value of each of these parts is 10, okay? So let me just drag this column down, or let me just type in 10 to all of these cells. And now, as you can see, all of these segments are equal in size, and this is what we need. Okay, so now let's delete the rest of the elements that we don't need, such as values and this little legend, okay? Alright, and now we can as well adjust the width of this donut chart, so we can just make sure that we select this donut chart and go to series options, and here we can adjust the donut hole size. So let's just try 50%. Hit enter, looking good. Alright, and now the next important thing that we have to do, just hit Ctrl X to cut this donut chart. Now go to paste and choose paste special, and now let's choose SVG. So this way we will basically paste this donut chart as an editable SVG object. Okay, click OK. That's super awesome. Now let's just right click on it and choose ungroup, and once again let's convert it to an editable object. And now let's ungroup once again. And now, as you can see, we can select all of these different shapes. Super duper awesome. So let's select everything. Let's add a, the same solid fill color, for example, this blue one. All right, let's group everything into one group. Let's resize. Let's cut this circular menu, and let me just paste it into my first slide. And once again, let's roughly match the size so that we have, pretty similar look. Yeah, something like that will be good enough. Okay. So let's just cut it and let's paste it into our slide. Whoops. Let me just undo. Let's just cut it once again. And let's paste it right here. Looking beautiful. Now we can delete this white empty slide. We won't need it anymore. All right. So first of all, let me just ungroup this menu once again so that we can select all of these segments. And for the line width, I think we can insert 1 point. Alright, looking good. And for the fill, let's use slide background fill, and once again let's insert that beautiful inside shadow with white color. Okay, and for the blur, let's try 30 points. Super duper awesome. Alright my friends, and next let me show you how we can make one of these segments active. So as you can see in the first slide, this segment is the active one, and on the second slide, this segment is the active one. So let me show you how you can create all of those active segments. And for that, let's get back to our slide. Let's first of all group all of these guys into one group. Let's hit Ctrl D to duplicate so that we have a duplicate. Let's ungroup this duplicate. And now let's select the rest of these guys. I mean, this one will be dealing with this one, so let's select the rest of these guys. And let's use no fill for all of these guys, and let's use no line. Okay, and for this one, for this active one, let's choose a solid fill. So the solid fill with white color, and let's adjust the shadow. So this time we'll be using an outside shadow, not an inside shadow, but the outside shadow. Alright, so the shadow color is white. No transparency, and for the blur, let's try for example 20 points. Looking good. Okay, now the important step is to select all of these guys, so the invisible ones and the visible one, and let's group them back into one group, just like that. And now let's just align this active segment group with these segments. All right, so let's align them to the right side and to the top. Okay. And now it will be really easy to rotate this active segment and to achieve what we need. And actually, to rotate this active segment a little bit more precisely, we can hold down the Alt key and just hit 4 times the right arrow key, 4 times once again, and so on. And this way we can precisely land this active segment to any of these segments that we wish. So let me just undo a couple of times. And the next step will be adding some icons to this circular menu. So let's just jump to our little brand book, and let me just grab all of these icons. So once again, all of these icons are provided by the PowerPoint itself. You can go to Insert and Icons if you have Office 365. And in case you don't have the icon tab, you can go to websites such as flaticon.com. And for now, let me just copy these icons and let's paste them into our slide. And now let's align them so that this first light bulb icon is in the middle of the first segment. Super duper awesome. And now let me place the rest of these icons to the rest of the segments. And now I'm just eyeballing, and you can be as precise as you wish. I'm just trying to make it a little bit faster for you, alright? And now let's select all of the icons except this light bulb, and let's turn them to white. That's good. And for the light bulb, let's just use the eyedropper tool and let's copy this shade of green color. Looking beautiful. Alright my friends, now the next important step is to add hyperlinks to each of these icons. So for example, once we click on this little planet icon, we would jump to the planet slide or your goal slide. Or if we would click on this little cat, we would jump to this slide with your pets. So let me show you how we can do that. So let's select the first icon, let's go to Insert and let's click on Link. And now let's choose a place in this document, or basically a slide in this presentation. And for this light bulb, we would like it to link to slide 11. So this is the slide of, your ideas. So we want this first icon to link to this slide, which is slide 11. Okay, so let's click OK. And now to make it faster, for the second icon, we can just use the shortcut Ctrl-K to, bring up this hyperlink menu. And now for this planet icon, let's choose slide 12, okay? And in the same way, we can link up the rest of the icons. So for the food icon, it should link to slide number 14, okay? The cat icon should link to slide number 15, and the controller icon should link to slide 16. Super duper awesome. Alright, so now all of our icons have hyperlinks, and we can actually select, whoops, so you can see the hyperlinks are already working. Let's select all of these icons. Let's just hold down the Shift key. Yep, this is what I wanted to do. Let's select all of them and let's just group them into one group. And in the selection pane, let's give them a proper name so that we can see what is what. All right. And as well for this thing, yeah, this is the active segment. Let's call it active so that we can distinguish what is what. And this group, I think these are our segments. Okay, so let's call them segments. So later on, we'll be adding some animations, and having proper names really helps, when you want to know which object is which. All right. And one more thing that I would like to create for this circular menu are these up and down buttons. So as you can see here, we have these little buttons, and this is just additional navigational feature that helps you to go to the next slide or to the previous slide. So, this is just a little feature that we could create. So, to make it faster, let me just grab this little circle. Let's hit Ctrl-C to copy. Let's paste it right here. Okay, let's bring it here to the center of our little menu. Let's increase the size, something like this. All right. Now let's go to icons and let's look for icon called up. Okay, this is the one. Let's insert it. Here it is in the middle of the slide. Let's bring it right here. Let's turn it white. Let's reduce its size. Okay, I think it's looking good. And now let's hit Ctrl K to add a hyperlink, and let's scroll up to the top and let's choose. I think this one will go to previous slide. Okay. Now let's make a copy. Let's flip this copy vertically. Let's hit Ctrl K once again, and for this one, let's go to next slide. Okay. Let's just move it a little bit downwards, just like this. Yeah, I think it's looking good enough. We can just group both of these arrows, select the circle, and let's center align everything nicely. Looking good. All right, so we have hyperlinks added to these icons and as well to these little arrows. And I think I would like to select this circle, these arrows, and as well our segment. Okay, and let's group them into one group so that everything is a little bit more organized. Okay, let me call everything segments, and let's just move it below the icons and active. So basically here we have icons in our top layer. Below that we have the active segment, and next we have the rest of the segments and these buttons in the middle. All right, and one more thing we have to do is of course this little menu button. So let me just do it from scratch. Okay. I was tempted to just copy and paste it, but let me actually show you how we can do it. Once again, let me just copy this little circle. Let's move it somewhere right here. Let's delete number 1, and once again, let's insert an icon. Okay. So let's look for a menu icon. Let's use this one. All right. So let's bring it right here. Let's fill it with the white color. Let's reduce its size to something like this. All right. And we can as well add a little bit of outline to this icon to make it a little bit thicker. So let's use, yeah, I think 1 point looks good. So let's check it out on the full screen. Yep, looking good. And let's just select everything. Let's hit Ctrl G to group, and let's give it a name. Let's call it menu. All right. So now we have the icons, we have the active segment, we have the rest of the segments, and we have the menu. Super duper awesome. And now we are pretty much ready to start working with animations. So basically, once we click on this little menu, we would like this, circular menu to appear. And once we click this little button menu, this circular menu should disappear. So let me show you how we can do that. So first of all, let's make sure that we select everything except the menu icon. All right. Whoops. So everything is selected. We can check in the selection pane that the icons, the active, and the segments are selected. That's good. Now let's go to animations, and let's go to more entrance animations, and let's choose zoom animation. All right, let's go to the animation pane. So the duration is set to 0.5 seconds. That's good. And we want these animations to be triggered once we click on this little menu. Okay, on this little button. So let's go to full screen. And now as you can see, once I click on this little menu button, our donut navigation comes up. That's super awesome, and all of the hyperlinks are working. So if I would click on this little cake icon, we would jump to our food slide. That's super awesome. So let me just come back. All right. And now I would like to click a second time, and I would like this navigation to close. So now if I click, the second time, it just appears once again, but it doesn't close. So let me show you how we can fix that. So basically we have to select all of our donut navigation elements once again. So let's make sure the selection pane, icons, active, and segments are selected. That's good. And now let's add an exit animation to all of these guys. So let's go to add animation. Let's choose a zoom animation. And once again, let's make sure that all of these guys are triggered once we click on this little menu button. All right, looking good. And by the way, for the active segment, I forgot that I would like to change the animation instead, instead of the zoom, I would like it to be spinner animation. I think this way we'll have a more dynamic look. And now let me change the active entrance animation to spinner and as well the active exit animation to spinner. Now it's set to zoom. So let me just go to more exit animations as well. And let's choose spinner. Okay. So now let's check it out once again on the full screen. And as you can see now, once we click on the menu button, the navigation comes up, and once we click again, the navigation goes away. Super duper awesome. But as you can see, the button itself stays quite static. There is no click animation. So let me show you how we can add a subtle click animation to this little button. Okay, so let's make sure that the menu is selected. Let's go to add animation and let's choose a grow shrink animation. So here it is. Let's add a really short duration of 0.15 seconds. All right, let's jump into the animation settings, and for the size, let's use 80%, which means that this button will shrink. Let's choose auto reverse so that it shrinks and then it comes back. Okay, let's click OK. And now let's make sure that this animation, this grow shrink animation, is triggered once we click on the button. So basically this button animation will be triggered by itself. Okay, so let's make sure triggered on click of menu. That's good. And let's just bring it upwards to these green animations and let's make sure that it starts with previous. Okay, and now we have to add one more grow shrink animation for the menu, and this time let's place it just under these red exit animations. So once again, let's choose the menu button and now let's add one more grow shrink animation and let's do the same. Duration 0.15 seconds, okay. Starts with previous, triggered by clicking on the menu shape, okay. And for the size, let's use 80%, auto reverse and click OK. So basically there should be two grow shrink animations. So one goes with these entrance animations and the second goes with these exit animations. Okay, so let's check it out on the full screen. And now as you can see, we're getting this little subtle click animation, and I think this way, this button looks a little bit more lively. Alright my friends, so the navigation is finished, and now the next step is just to basically take it and paste it to the rest of the slice. So let me do just that. Let's make sure that we select the navigation and the menu button itself. Let's hit Ctrl+C to copy, and let's paste these beautiful assets to the rest of the slice. And of course, we'll have to adjust the position of this active segment. So let's make sure that the active segment is selected, and now let's just hold down the Alt key and let's hit the right arrow key 4 times, just like that. And now for this light bulb icon, let's make it white again, alright. And for this planet icon, let's use the eyedropper and let's, copy any shade of orange that we wish, for example this one. Super duper awesome. Okay, let's go to the next slide, and once again, let's select the active segment, let's hit 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's hit 1, 2, 3, 4 once again. Okay, so for this light bulb, once again, let's make sure it is white. And for this little artist icon, let's choose this shade of pink. Super duper awesome. Okay, so let me do the same adjustments to the rest of the slice and I'll meet you in a second. Alright my friends, so the navigation has been updated for all of the slides. And now the secret ingredient is to make sure that we select all of our beautiful slides, so slides from 11 to 16. And now let's go to transitions and let's make sure that we apply the morph transition. Morph transition will help us to morph these illustrations and to move this active segment around the navigation. Okay, so the morph transition is selected. We can as well adjust the duration of this slide transition, so let's keep it half a second, just like that. And now let's just check it out on the full screen. Alright, so first of all, let's open up the navigation and let's click, for example, on this food icon. And as you can see on this slide, the navigation closes automatically. And I think it would be better if, the navigation stays open until we click again to close it. So let me show you how we can fix that. So let's go to slide 11. And let's go to our animation pane and let's actually select all of these exit animations and let's move them to the top, okay? And actually we'll have to do this the same procedure for the rest of the slides. And now the menu should basically stay open until we decide to close it. Okay, so let's check it out once again. So as you can see on the first slide, the navigation is open automatically. So you can close it or you can open it. And now if we go to a different slide, as you can see, the navigation stays open and we can, jump through different slides. And when we wish to close, we can just click on this button once again. Super duper awesome. And as you can see, with the help of the Morph transition, this active segment this active segment animation is working perfectly. But as you can see, these illustrations are not blending quite well, from one slide to another. And the reason for that is that we have to do a little trick in the selection pane. Okay, so let's go to slide 11. So let's select this first illustration. And currently, as you can see, the name of this illustration is group 50. And the name of this planet is group 38. And PowerPoint doesn't understand, that you want to morph from, group 50 to group 38. And to make it easier for PowerPoint, we can, do this little trick. Just delete this name, group 50, and now insert 2 exclamation marks. And after that, just type in any name that you wish. For example, let's insert 1. So 2 exclamation marks and the little word 1. And let's do the same for this planet. 2 exclamation marks and 1. Okay? And now let's check it out once again. And now as you can see, this light bulb and this planet are blending much better. And as well, you could do the same procedure for these text boxes, but let's just keep it simple. And let's do the same procedure for the rest of these icons, okay? So, the rest of the illustrations. And one more trick that you could do is go to slideshow and go to setup slideshow and make sure that your presentation is going to be browsed only at kiosk mode, okay? Which means that all of the random mouse clicks or keyboard clicks will not be working and you'll be able to navigate your presentation only by using this navigation menu. So that's super duper awesome. We can as well test out these buttons up and down. Looks like everything is working, and as well you can close and open your menu. Alright my friends, so that's all for this tutorial. Now you know how you can create this animated slide design with this awesome donut chart navigation. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them and I'll do my best to answer them in the comment section below. And by the way, today's tutorial slides will be made available to all of my fans and supporters on Patreon. Thank you very much. Link is in the video description. And I wish you a wonderful day. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you on my next video. Peace.